Now let me just see if this.
Film footage somewhere deep in the bowels of the athletic department.
Did you say bowels of the athletic department?
Oh God. Keywords. I gotta watch out for these keywords.
I bet it's on the Netflix.
Yeah, you said bowels.
You know,
It's been digitized. I bet it's
bowels.
on the
Yeah.
interwebs.
Anyways.
All right, we're almost ready.
There we go. Athletic department is film footage. Run over by this 6'2" guy. Bradley on a kickoff.
Huh?
He just came Bradley yell. And I'm flat on the ground and then he makes the tackle.
Which song was that?
9:30.
Yeah.
You know it too. I played 2 games.
I don't do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that. You know,
And I played.
you didn't know the words, you just do that.
I was very scats all over the place. And the first play that I went in there, they ran a play straight up top. And they double blocked. Of course, I didn't have a what's the hand.
He's good at broken arm. He had a broken arm, get him.
Yeah, well, I didn't, it wasn't my hand.
Can't wait to hear you.
So I had the cast off and I had a big pad on.
I don't know, where is it?
I don't know.
Baseball was a lot.
Well, you know, in about,
After I broke my arm,
that clock is 10 minutes fast, so we get to zoom in 10.
High school.
See, now, see, Hal Robbins comes in
It's
here.
still 10 minutes fast, even though they put
saw
it in
it.
on Sunday. I quit immediately.
It's always 10 minutes.
And then I just played baseball.
That's the funny thing.
Are you ready? Are you gonna pass this around? Sure. You'll help out?
I'll pass it around.
Hal Robbins has the sign in, so please, see this individual.
Who hasn't signed this?
A lot of people haven't signed. so-
Everybody line up behind Hal.
And then I'll read the announcement, says nobody has volunteered for shit city. You know, nobody ever gonna reach out.
I'll do it.
Thank you for crap's sake.
There you go, and you have,
I have a Merry Christmas. Oh, you need, other people need.
What's the
not,
other one?
not this one, it's irreplaceable and I make my living with it. Not everybody can even use it.
What, it's a fountain pen now.
It's an old Schaefer, steel nib fountain pen. Inject ink into it with a high pressure. You're not gonna get it.
Oh, that's great.
But I have others.
Perfect.
That's our message to take, everything in writing. That's right. So, I love this. And it's red. Red is fine. So what do I gotta do now?
So I'll tell you when we're going, and as soon as this,
Yeah, I've done this.
you've done this before, so then, there we go. And
Not
I'll
as
make
good as David.
Huh?
Not as good as David.
Well, you know, don't say that. You have panache.
Panache.
Panache. What is panache?
Panache.
What is it? Panache.
Panache. Like pizzazz.
Panache is style, pizzazz, right?
Yeah, pizzazz.
Panache.
Punch.
Oh, that's what it is. I would believe that.
What's the word mean? It's French, right?
It means Cyrano de Bergerac's nose.
I don't know.
I don't know from French.
I don't know.
So the guy walks into a bar and he tells the bartender he knows 50 different languages except Greek. And the guy starts speaking in Spanish and the guy says, sounds Greek to me.
Good thing it's wrapped.
So, a Sufi, a Muslim, a Buddhist,
Gotta be a way
a Catholic, an ISIS,
But yeah.
ISIS.
They're not walking into a bar, are they?
An ISIS, a follower of ISIS.
a rabbi,
I was ready for that.
Well,
a Sikh,
I don't mind.
a Confucius walking to a bar.
Right.
The bartender says, what is this, some sort of joke?
Yeah, no.
Put on Bob.
Right?
We moan, but it's all right. He's a good man. He knows his humor.
Oh,
What do you call, wait with this, what do you call a boomerang
too many features.
that doesn't come back?
A bad boomerang.
A stick.
Okay.
Because either it's a boomerang or it's a stick.
Or a meter curvature.
And if you're really impatient and from New York City, you'd say a damn stick.
If you're from Philly, you say a fucking stick.
What's wrong with you?
And then I think they usually
You know,
How many New Yorkers does it take to change a light bulb?
that's not that's not funny.
No, that's a different one.
Yeah, I know. There's one about a Russian, an Italian,
Oh, yeah. You were on the right track at the right time.
and a New Yorker, and they're standing on a corner at a bus stop, and this English guy walks up and says, Italian or Russian and the New Yorker back here. Oh, that's not my pen.
Oh, it's not? Oh, so this is whoever was in front of me and I don't recognize.
I'll take it. What's the sign-up sheet? Where's the
Over there
sign-up sheet?
someplace.
Oh, still being signed. Well, then I don't need it.
Oh, yeah, so
Here you go.
it's, in England, it's a Russian, it's post-World War II joke now. Gotta go back to post-World War II. So there's a New Yorker, a Russian, and an Italian, and they seem to be waiting outside the store. And the Englishman comes up and says, excuse me, is this a line for me? And the Russian says,
What's me?
what's me? And the Italian says, what's excuse me? And the New Yorker says, no, the Italian says, what's the line? And the New Yorker says, what's excuse me? I goofed out.
You screwed that up so badly.
I tried.
He was nervous. He's a New Yorker cartoon.
No.
I want someone to draw this cartoon. So it's a church. This goes right. And this family. There's a sign that says, that's good. That's good.
I have a question for you.
Yes, dear.
Is this person, related to that person? Or that is this?
This I couldn't tell you since I do not know. I only know this person.
Okay, so they are not like to be paired together.
Not that I know.
Okay, well then I will do my being John Malkovich and use the 11th and a half floor.
There was another joke I was going to tell. I can't remember it.
I'll listen.
I know, but I got to remember it.
And so,
When I was talking, when he was telling me that joke, I remember the joke, and it was a joke that was all related to his joke.
It's not too scary.
Oh. No, it's not.
It was suggested. This collection was created and edited by Nicole Asmo.
Put it together. That is the thing we've been working on for some time. Voodoo Monster.
What's that? What?
Yeah.
I haven't put his cell phone there. I know what he's doing. The guy.
With the bag?
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I will not swerve. I am not here. I don't know who I am. I wake up and look in the mirror and say, what is the same guy looking back at me in my mirror in the bathroom for? I know. You know, give schizophrenia a chance, that's what I say. My friend says being schizophrenic doubles your chances for a date on Friday night. You can always date yourself. And you know what you like already. Except for the time you argue with yourself and lose, that's terrible. We're going to get started in just a moment. I'm testing the mic. The mic seems fine. Mr. Tommy Avicolamek is going to do the announcements, whether and authority is permitting. And then we'll get on with the open mic and we'll move forward and mountains and so forth, such like, and so on. Thank you so much.
And give him a round as he comes out. Investigate that at a better time. Oh, so
So who's up?
Tommy's up with the announcements. He's studiously unaware of my studious awareness.
Okay. Come sit with us, sweetie. Sign up?
Yes. Did you sign up? You want to sign up? Oh, you did? Okay.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I can go up there and do this?
Yeah, you should go up there and do this.
Okay.
Thank you. And give him a round of applause. He's getting it started. All right, go do the announcements. Yeah. Woo!
Okay.
Okay.
Hear ye. Welcome to Sacred Grounds.
Yeah.
With, what's your name again? Dan Brady as the current hosts of this, the longest running open mic in the known and unknown universe. Serving up good food and fine poetry since 1972. Please support this reading by enjoying the food and drink served here.
Did you say joying?
Yeah, something. My South Philly accent's coming out. It comes out whenever I least expect it. Let's have a big hand for Teddy and Fiona, our hosts. Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome. But we do ask you to respect the mic. This thing. Keep conversations to a whisper. Put phones on mute or vibrate or toss them out in the street. And do not distract the speakers or pass in front of them or yell at them or throw tomatoes or anything like that.
Yeah, no tomatoes.
No tomatoes. If you have tomatoes, give them to me because I love tomatoes.
And if you got grapefruits, I take grapefruits.
Yeah, he takes
I
grapefruit.
love them.
Okay. Keep to the time limit, usually 5 minutes, but that can change. And it changes depending on this guy here, the whim of Dan Brady.
Question. So if I have a 10-minute introduction to my 2-minute
Then
poem,
you've used up your 5
how
minutes.
much time do I have left over?
0.
You have minus 7 minutes in that case. Wouldn't you
Just
minus-
check.
No.
You can't
And-
get that time for your 2-minute poem.
We will get the hook out after 5 minutes, so believe me, we have a hook.
And the captain is not very
I
friendly.
have seen
Okay.
7 minutes.
Remember, we have 2 shows, the
Yeah.
7-ish
Which
and
is
the
now-
8:40-ish.
Which is
I
later.
don't know if the time is accurate.
It's not accurate.
It's never accurate. Time is
Clock is
so
10 minutes fast.
time
It's
is
all
a
relative, man.
An illusion.
My uncle, actually.
it's a social construct, folks. So get over it.
Huh?
The shows will happen when they happen, right? For those reasons, I ask for generosity by going short on your time. Yeah, that'll happen. It helps with our tradition of getting everyone on the mic.
Everyone on the.
It's kind of like, you know, how many angels can you get on a pinhead? How many poets can you get on a mic?
That's unfair to pinheads.
And
like pinheads.
obviously you folks didn't go to Catholic school, because if you did, you'd be rolling in the aisles.
We don't got aisles here.
Yes, there is. There's an aisle here, there's an aisle
Okay,
there.
all right already.
Yeah, but we
Jeez.
get our knuckles slapped.
Okay, I'm never going to get through this. If you want to be in the loop, but I don't know what the hell the loop is, but if you want to be in the loop, we have an opt-in email list, a Facebook page,
Yeah.
a YouTube channel, and we stream live. I mean, what more can you ask for here?
Yeah,
Which,
jeez.
which is handy in 5 ways.
Count
Count
'em.
it, 5 ways. You can view it from home. Family or friends can see you live or later on, unless you're trying to hide from them. Then you better avoid this camera. If you want to hear so-and-so's poem again, you can hear it again. Want to do self-critique? Come on, raise hands. How many people actually want to do self-critique? Really?
Yeah, you gotta be
No,
professional about this here.
no. You have to tie me down and torture me to get me to do
Edit that
something.
booger out the nose.
And it is a way to put out the word, yours, mine, or ours. Remember the ongoing theme. Can anybody recite it? Come on, we do this every week. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Who said that?
Margaret Mead.
There you go. And this week's theme is?
This week's theme, tonight's theme is sand.
Sand.
S-A-N-D.
Okay.
Sand.
Next week's feature will be?
Next week's feature will be Linda. Oh, wait, that's the wrong page. Hold on a second. Oh, Jack and Sangay. Jack, Foley, yes, thank you. Jack Foley and Sungay Land.
Now, as to our first show, the keynote will be,
Owen Dunko,
well, our feature is,
Jan Steckel, who is right there giving the wave by her book. She has some books with her. She's a great reader, writer, and expert in human affairs.
as to the second show, the last word will be,
The cursive writer who is here in his
Yay!
sullen art.
the mini feature is,
Is Karen Melinda Magoon, who is not here yet. She may be yet, but we have Ashia, I gotta say this right, Ashia, Ajani, Ajani, I could get that wrong. She's gonna show up and do a special little bit, and that'll be in the second half of the fight.
and now, Dan Brady will show us the door prizes.
Oh my God, do we have door prizes? So, the Poems of Laura Writing, a new edition, 1938 collection, Laura Writing Jackson by Carsonet Press. I was given this book. It says, just read it. You need to confide. You need to confide for myself to be talking with it, to talk with it as you love meant, not for love could, but be to need one another. I'm reading that poem and doing a disservice. This is Pinwheel Turns a Kiss. It's actually two books in one by my friend
You
Bob.
said that.
This is The Ability to Love by Alan Fromm, PhD, forwarded by Melvin Powers and Lauren Bacall. Kidding about Lauren. This is the selected poems of Lewis Simpson, not Bart or Michael. So, winners of the Pulitzer Prize in 1964, so this is a classic. Now, Mr. David Erdreich comes here very often, and this is one of his books, Mr. E's Mystery, even has a CD in the back so you can hear what you might like. And if they say those don't float your boat, you can be the co-pilot, which is Antoinette tonight, but she's not here yet. The last word, which the cursive writer is, keynote, which is Owen, choosing the theme or prompt, which, who did sand? Who made sand?
I did.
Sharon, I remember the sand. And then the mini feature, which is Karen, and gets an 8-minute slot in the second half. So those are there. Those are the prizes. I am thanking you.
Be advised,
Be advised.
although we record the evening, if an audience member wishes to do so, please ask permission. We'll assume you've done so should we notice recordings being made.
Thank
And
you.
that's the announcements for tonight.
A public service announcement. Thank you. Give him a round of applause here. Very brave to go up there and do that. And now, Mr. Owen Dunkel is going to come and do the keynote. He'll come back to the open as well. And just so you know that if you read a poem by somebody, I'll hand you this, so that way you can tell me who the poet is and what the name of the poem was. So I don't always write. Aleister Crowley's in charge of the Dark Brigade. Yes. Bring it. Give him a round of applause as he comes up here, please. Owen Dunkel, I'll see you in the evening.
Okay, as my keynote ship,
Can I move this back this way? Easier. There you go.
I'll read two short poems by Yeats. Down by the Sally Gardens. Down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did meet. She passed the Sally Gardens with little snow white feet. She bid me take love easy as leaves grow up on the tree, but I being young and foolish with her would not agree. In a field by the river my love and I did stand, and on my leaning shoulder she laid her snow white hand. She bid me take life easy as grass grows on the weirs, but I was young and foolish, and now I'm full of tears.
That'll teach him.
Here's another one. Leda and the Swan. A sudden blow, the great wings beating still above the staggering girl, her thighs caressed by the dark web, her nape caught on its bill. He holds her helpless breast upon his throat. But how can those terrified, vague fingers pushed the feathered glory from her loosening thighs. How can body laid in that white rush, but feel her strange heart beating where it lies? A shudder in the loins engenders here the broken wall, the burning roof and tower, and Agamemnon dead. Being so caught up, so mastered by the brute blood of the air, did she put his knowledge with his power before the indifferent beak could let her drop?
He'll be back in the open because the keynote always does that. And now we'll always have Stockton. That's the next. Oh, it's him. Give him a round of applause, Mr. Stockton. We haven't seen him in a long time.
You'll always have Stockton up there. Go see Harry by day and by night. Go getting day and night mixed so that it's 50s and 60s cinema that you see. And say to those imaginary companions who accompany, hey, let's get naked and make a mess. It's only lucid dreaming done. And as long as we stay on the road, there's no harm at all. The cops will see it our way, past Petaluma, Katati, with Pengrove somewhere. They're always constructing it, just can't help it. Implementing business everywhere at 11:45. The date, that's easy. Our calendars count in November. A 14th day in the 13th year. Passing all the places we knew and loved as state college staff, when you'd say the Indian word Sonoma and hear them drumming to our academia. Santa Rosa tells no lies in the time it takes to roll on through. And 101 is simplicity bisecting the town so that you are both east and west on your way. The time, 11:45 a.m., and the date that is known as well, 2/3 into November, day 14, year 13. It'll take an extra day to get all the way to Harry, another teen of tenacious adolescence. Each evergreen is century to the road work. There's never been a time when the highway wasn't widening. Saint Rose, the saintly rose, perfuming construction. Repeat the words passing through all the places that meant so much, whose meaning now is nostalgia's question. Can I remember and stay constructed myself? Saying goodbye, or rather remembering a goodbye said affectionately, thinking adieu to be inadequate. She was elegant and tall and deserving of more, deserving of a road trip herself when we might have counted together the lanes and miles, just anything worthy of a list. I have something about sand. I do. Don't look at me in that tone of voice.
No. If you're fine, I'm fine. I have a heart condition.
I'm not sure I believe all that.
He goes to my doctor.
It was the nearest place distant. It was a location necessarily far. I held in my palm a photograph of a place of dune sky, created from a cinemascope of pines like an avenue. And rough sand choked the upper air as perspective gained custody of Kodak's theater of say-so. And the selected desired quadrangle allowed the coarse grains to stage a comeback. I hurried from Horsefall to behold the camel, forsook the sanctimonious hum of media baby by, fled the talk show and showed up in dune country. It clicked into cloud sand, a janitor freed of cleanup who, in the first heady moments of a new life, wonders what was ever dirty enough to require his services.
And we'll always have Stockton. Thank you. Greg, I have you signed in, so you're the next person. Huh?
I need somebody to hold the mic.
Would you hold the mic? Just hold it so he can just sit there, because that's how we do it. No, okay, we got it. I'm focusing in. No, wait. My brother used to say, yes, no, wait, yeah, no, wait, yeah, no, wait, yes, no, wait, no, yeah, wait, no, yeah.
Hold it
Yeah,
close
wait,
to his
no,
mouth.
yeah, there we go. Oh. Und dann
this out of the way there. So, all right, let me set the clock here. And go. Yeah, we're good.
All right, this is from a much longer poem, which is called Permutations for a Special Child. And it's the first poem and introduction to the whole poem. It's called Churchill, a Love Poem. Song. How fatuous we were to dream a dream of golden dreams, to dream a dream, to dream our own devices, not our words, but love's nice stars, waking in the sphere of spheres, hustled from maniac heart to silver dream again. All attempt a scenic dream, the sand of timelessness, whose sandaled feet grew shoes, the sad-eyed strung are not in the schoolroom walls, but in the vegetated one. Yet how our words sung, the traffic stopped, the lights gathered, like sheep lathered, like lions' mouths, like teeth, like wolves, tiring in the woods we tired and stood, at the door signed with apple shadows, at the very door of love, words confused, the afterwards, the blind eyes closed, who dies in time to see. Device. No seas, no rivers more, but the poor loss of land's riches, our round lips breathe blowing, the rhythm of the dance ending, not whispering yet ending, yet in worlds, in words. Scale. Words of our songs, long words of our songs, long songs of our strong words of our songs' rhythms. All the same in the seas, but not for so many rhythms yet unsung, manifest, asleep, awake with too many eyes down the drain of life. Not to have known ourselves, to have ended not shooting stars, evenings when these stars showed bright, not to have turned around to see the salt of life rise pyramid steps to the starless sky, typed in apologies, facing the face of wrongdoing laughter in our dreams. These are the explanations, the surviving greatness up our sleeves, and only God, ruling how we dreamt, comes to this, the music of a drinking song, too fast, too slow, too long, all this, he said to name, the name. Each song is the same, each music is mine, each green tree the apple of my eye, each ghost touch, each mother love, each silence beauty beholden, beheld the river. Epilogue of the mind, what we did not see. What we did not see is what we did, he said. That's the poem.
Thank you, Bob. Britt, then Arthur, then Harold, Gene Harlow, Ray Milland, Sammy Davis, and Gog and Magog. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, let me raise it up.
He's heading away.
Yeah, we're sure good. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. And let me just frame you in there. There you go. You're good.
This is on tonight's theme, a couple of poems about sand. In yard 3, dock 5, the sandblasters are coming in their bleached canvas Frankenstein attire. Play the bolero for the plodding modality of their advance. Another poet asks, do you adore words? Yeah, but hide the noise, hard at it, auditory hell. No one else can tell this as the sandblasters scald the ship's hull with sand. Shoveling sand and childhood memories. Captain Marvel and other comic books would have a full ad on the back page. Pimply-faced kids would read about
a scrawny boy who had sand thrown in his face, turned the tables on a beach bully and became Charles Atlas. Clean living, barbells, workouts, no masturbation, get big biceps. Ah, sand, William Blake in hourglasses, sands of time, shifting sands, grains of sand. One of the best jobs I ever had was shoveling sand. Stoop, scoop, and spray over the lip of the skiff. Big as a topless boxcar, those skiffs. Fill at least 3 in an 8-hour day. No quotas, just keep your back in it. Enough time for your own thoughts. I'd recite lines from Dylan Thomas and William Blake. Great flowing gibberish to move the sand's flow. Sweet Pea, Flash, and Rock Island were there. The arc of their tools delivered more sand. Yelling at Flash for leaning on his shovel. A lot to be said for grunt work. Stoop, scoop, and spray, and then old Paul would come up with layoff slips. We threw the shovels in the air, took the slips, and headed straight for the shack and clean up. Stopped off at Joba Jaws or the Elkhorn for a few beers. God damn, sometimes a month would go by before we got another dispatch. Down Canal Boulevard to sweet hell again. Alameda, 1980. The narrow beach, warm sand. Young wives and the unemployed spread blankets, set up umbrellas. Naval aircraft overhead, too loud. Warm sand, suntan lotion. A docked carrier within its slip casting a shadow at the end of the beach. A hurried work crew attempting to pick up the latest oil slick. Dig your toes into the sand, fight for quiet. In the sun's glare, the lapping bay, the curved horizon, testimony to a round earth. The narrow beach, sand, beach clutter, the passing day, the fragile economy.
Good, Peter. All right, and now Arthur. And you have the word "look like crazy" next to you. Oh, okay. This is your first time here?
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a first time appearance. Give him the honor. Is that Arthur up there? Oh my God, it's Arthur! All right, there you go.
Crazy. I'm lost within myself. I can't find the door. Lost alone in the scary thoughts. I can't find my way out because I'm lost. Lost in my mind, lost in my heart, lost in my soul. It's cold here in the dark. Alone, and maybe I need to suffer here alone. I'm no good. I'm a scared little boy, lost in the dark. I should cry out. But what if my demons answer back? They're here with me, watching me. I can see them with their red eyes. I can't cry out for help because my demons will answer first. They always answer first. Alone in the dark, I should be used to this by now. The darkness and I know each other well. I must become the survivor. I must become the darkness. I must give in to the demons. I must become a demon to survive. A lone wolf, I always seen myself this way. So today is the day that I walk in hell alone. Become the darkness, become the demon. Become the black lone wolf again. I can warm myself here in the dark with this raging fire of pain. Let it turn, let the fire turn to pain, and let the pain turn to fire. Keep myself warm with this raging fire of anger, of pain, of loneliness and of suffering. The fire burns hot, and keeps me warm. The demons fear me again. I use the pain, I use the anger to make the fire rage and burn. No more nice Arturo, no more sweet Arturo, no more. Only crazy Arturo is left, born again. The survivor, crazy Arturo. No smile, no laughing. Always down for dirt, crazy Arturo. I remember my old me. I remember me riding hard and riding fast. Let them look at me, let them run, let them cross the street. Let them fear me, let them hate me. Let them think I'm no good and that I'll hurt them because I will. No more nice Arturo. I sink back into the darkness and only come out to hurt them because I'm hurt. This is who I am. This is me, all of me, for better or for worse. I finally see that now because I have become the darkness and the fear.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. The mighty and wonderful Hal Robbins is coming up next. Give him a round as he comes up. Mr. Buford. Buford. I want to have you take a look at that really quickly and give it back. That's a sample copy of the guy. I know. Tell me. So, give Hal a nice round of applause, please. It's up here, Mr. Hal Robinson. Robbins, rather. They don't want to make somebody's name wrong.
On the theme.
How did you say?
On the theme.
On the theme of sand?
Yes, sand comes into it. Sand is part of it. The Walrus and the Carpenter.
Yes.
By Lewis Carroll. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright. And this was odd, because it was the middle of the night. The moon was shining sulkily because she thought the sun had got no business being there after the day was done. How very rude of him, she thought, to come and spoil the fun. The sea was wet as wet could be. The air was dry as dry. You could not see a cloud because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead. There were no birds to fly. The Walrus and the Carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. If this were only cleared away, they said, it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose, the Walrus said, that they could get it clear? I doubt it, said the Carpenter, and shed a bitter tear. Oh, oysters, come and walk with us, the Walrus did beseech. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each. The eldest oyster looked at them, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. But 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for a treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd, because, you know, they hadn't any mile or so until they came unto a spot conveniently low. And there the little oysters stood before them in a row. The time has come, the Walrus said, to speak of many things, of shoes and ships and sailing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings. But wait a bit, the oysters cried, before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat. No hurry, said the Carpenter. They thanked him much for that. A loaf of bread, the Walrus said, is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar, besides, are very good indeed. Now, if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed. But not on us, the oysters cried, turning a little blue. After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do. The night is fine, the walrus said. Do you admire the view? It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice. The carpenter said nothing but, cut us another slice. I wish you were not half so deaf, I've had to ask you twice. It seems a shame, the walrus said, to play them such a trick, after we brought them out so far and made them trot so quick. The carpenter said nothing but, the butter's spread too thick. I weep for you, the walrus said. I deeply sympathize. With sobs and tears, he sorted out those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. Oh, oysters, said the carpenter, we've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again? But answer came there none. And this was scarcely odd, because they'd eaten every one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Oh, yeah. And now we have Tommy Abacola Mecca coming back up here for his somos.
Ready for his close-up.
Give him a nice round, please. And then after that, we got Bill Bird and Sharon. This was Amy, from the Free Radical, and many other people.
You introduced me to Sartre, Camus, Baldwin. Talked to me about civil rights, the anti-war movement. Ridiculed me after we watched Twilight Zone and I ran under the covers to hide. You didn't care that your fratellino, your little brother, hated sports, never joined a gang, got into a fight, or had a black eye or swollen lip. In our neighborhood, that made me a saint, or loser, or something worse. How many nights did we stay up late, imitating people we knew, relatives, neighbors, movie stars, jumping on the bed as we acted out scenes? One night, the board that held up the mattress collapsed. Papa pounded on the door, "Shut the hell up in there, would ya?" You mirrored his posture and hand gestures. We laughed ourselves to sleep. The morning of your wedding, I talked to you as you packed your things. You had just showered. You had a towel wrapped around your waist as you stuffed things into that black hole of a suitcase. Your whole life fitted into it. I didn't want you to go, even though it meant I would have a room to myself for the first time in my life. Something I would gladly have given up. We live in scary times, and this is one example of it. Is there a time, a day, an hour, a moment when you aren't listening, watching, when I'm not under suspicion, when my loyalty isn't being questioned, when I don't have an active file and case number, when I can march down a street, go to a meeting, write an op-ed, and not trigger an alert? I remember clicks on a phone as a telltale sign. A man in shiny shoes and sunglasses standing along the sidelines. The snap of a photo. Always wondering about informants. It was the price of dissent. It still is. There are more eyes now, more technology. Everyone has a camera and a voice recorder within reach at all times. More ways to know what I say, what I do, more ways to discredit me when I dare to raise a voice. Big Brother occupies the spare bedroom in all of our glass houses. And finally, I want to dedicate this piece to all of the gender non-conforming and gender fluid people in this world. You fucking rock. Woo! I love blurring, leaving shadows of things in my wake. Like that nude descending the staircase, I'm fully exposed. People can't see the nakedness. They imagine I'm a mystery. I couldn't be more obvious. I shed gender like a snake. I spin a cocoon when I need to transform. Fluidity is a gift that was stolen from us, beaten out of us, condemned by religion, by social norms that are not normal. There are more things in heaven and gender than dreamt of in any philosophy. I won't go away to make you feel more comfortable. I've done that in the past. It's time you simply get used to it. Thank you.
Give it around, and we have Sharon, then Amy. Where's Amy?
Right here.
Okay, so you're also new, so we're going to give you a welcoming, just so you know. Okay. Buford, you ready? Let me organize the clock.
I love coming after Tommy because he's actually shorter than I am. And that doesn't happen very often. And he mixes in the best poetry in the world with it too, so that's cool. This is called Mother. My mother, the tiny southern Alabama woman who weighed practically nothing, from 80 to 115 pounds. She had this tough life and ended up with emphysema the last 22 years of her life. She loved all her kids. All right. And here's one, sort of related. This is called Every Christmas. Every Christmas, after I lived away from home and came back for Christmas, my old man, Daddy Earl, would give me a bag of walnuts, and we might eat them while talking about the good old days. They weren't all that good in some ways, but the good was real good. In the South, parents have tried to keep their kids from growing up, at least keep them from leaving town. Every Christmas, we hung up the stockings. Sometimes they got stuffed so that they almost burst. Daddy loved to eat the walnuts himself. I remember him and his bad teeth with nuts between the big spaces in his teeth.
Thank you, Buford. And now, the Honorable Sharon Scott Fish. Oh! Everybody grab the seat, comes up here. She's going to take us way back. Get us organized.
Kansas City.
Here's your kids from Kansas City. It's called Easter Sand. Easter, springtime, a time to put away the winter clothes. That is really not always an option. Sometimes it's still cold. Can't wear that frilly dress and new frocks. Sometimes still cold. Can't wear the new organdy dresses or lightweight suits. Got to go back and put the flannels on. Straw hats, too windy. But the weather permits, it's time to pull out. The pastels, the patent leathers. Get out the straw hats, white gloves. Plans and purchases made in advance. Months of planning, shopping, dresses. Makers of tailors, sharp as a tack. Hats, hats, hats. Each one like a garden. People drive by churches just to see the sisters in their hats. Old ladies even pull them out. Some are new, some are old. Big hats, and as we say, the bigger the butt, the bigger the hat. Feet wedged in heels. Some lean heavy on canes, but the pain is worth it. Compliments from old friends. Churches are crowded that they have to pull out the extra folding chairs. The only other holiday this big is Mother's Day. Hams, glaze, sweet potatoes, honey, cakes made, relishes, trays ready. Hopefully, sermon not too long. Flower shops loaded with crosses of lilies. Florists busy making deliveries at last minute. Purchases to take as gifts. Gifts for churches. Deliveries to the homebound. Green foil carefully wrapped lilies. Plastic pots. Eggs dyed the night before. Extra trips to the drugstore for green paper grass. Pies, decorating kits, sold out. Plenty of vinegar to set the dye. If weather permits you, pick up your yard. You might have an Easter egg hunt. Drugstore has young chicks, ducks, and some even have bunnies. Beauty shops have been busy for days. Hot irons clicking, sounds coming out of their doors like train wheels on tracks. Dry cleaners, one mass of steam pressing clothing. Sewing machines humming, making the last minute adjustments. Barber shops and the men have lined up. Mustaches trimmed, nails buffed, shoes shine. The snap of the rags keeps a constant rhythm, crack, crack, crack on the shoes. The deacons and ushers have bleached their gloves and laid them out neatly in the church vestibule. Programs stacked neatly. Choirs have been practicing for weeks. New bottles of smelling salts purchased for the old ladies that tend to pass out. The ushers are ready to administer. The overcome. The printer has delivered fans from the favorite mortuary. New glass water pitchers set out ready for ice water, especially for the pulpit. If some are the kneeling benches, they have been cleaned and brushed. The sanctuary comes neatly. Everything is sewn in, all the robes. Trips to the dime store to make sure each child has an Easter basket. Plenty of candy to fill the baskets, plenty of fake grass or straw. Over to Russell Stover's if lucky. Candy, lots of candy. Chocolate bunnies. Most are not foil covered, just plain. Pure chocolate. Jelly beans, dime store can't buy too many. The black ones, the kids really don't want too much, but they're in the basket too. Last resort. Kids are anxious for days. What will be in the basket? As time wore on and time got modern, so did the baskets. But some things are still a throwback. Treats from the past, the sugar eggs with scenes inside. Most were pretty, simple, a bunny, chicks. Eva, my grandmother, took this to another level. All year she carefully saved the clippings from all of her books, and lambs and chicks and bunnies, and weeks before, she would clip with manicure scissors and paste it onto thin cardboard, spin the sugar, mold it, ice the eggs, making wonderful Victorian scenes inside. The larger ones would serve as decorations for parties that she would cater. Some of these were the size of platters with a couple of whimsical Easter scenes. These were great. But now we've got modern days, and they're putting out sand pails. Very brightly colored sand pails for kids. And everybody loves them. It's got cellophane, fake grass, love it. So morning of Easter, out comes your bucket, and you get it. But you're not going to play with that bucket. You're not going to get it dirty. You're not going to mess it up. You're going to set it on the buffet, and you're going to look at it. So after you look at it, the time passes on. When the day is nice, you and your friends can go. But you don't live by the beach. You live in Kansas City, Missouri. So where are you going to get this sand? Well, the guys bought sand last summer, and they bought too much of it, but it's been rained on, and all the cats have found it. So, what are you going to do? Well, I don't know. Oh, Brenda's father has decided that since he has a lot of rice that he bought in Louisiana, that you're going to put rice in the buckets. Okay, so you're going to go outside on Saturday, and you're going to have a party and a picnic, and everybody's going to dress up in their little shorts, and you're going to have a picnic and play in the sand, or play in the rice. Meanwhile, the Tomcats are watching you, and they think you're all crazy. So, what you do is, you set it out, you got your little romper suits on, your little sandals, and someone's mother runs outside and says, tornado warning. So down in the basement you go, and you all set out your blanket, and the cats are in the window looking at you like, when that door opens, we're coming in. So you wait out the storm, the kids play on the blanket, they eat their little sandwiches, they eat their chocolates, and the door opens when everybody says the storm is gone, and in come the cats to the rice.
All right. Thank you. And now, as we have done previously in the evening, we have a debut performer here. Amy, would you kindly come forward and give her the welcoming that we love and understand so well. Oh, let me just raise it up a bit there.
Thank you.
Is that good? And you gotta almost write it straight in.
Yeah, that's great. I have 2 poems and laryngitis, and neither poem has anything to do with sand.
It's all right.
So, okay. A handless maiden. It's hard to do the dishes when you're grown without hands. Fumbling for fingers drawn out of the froth of thin air, I built a set, toys of paper clips and dried super glue. But the make-believe doesn't last forever. My hands break, and I build them again. Stronger, broader, more in tune. You cannot tell the difference between my cobbled hands and those that read as real. Balance, choice, offering, tethers from ourselves to one another. I do not like holding hands because I feel the difference. Their crude metal tendons wrap around the warmth of your palm that is so fleshy. I worry you will notice. Today is not easy. This last pair is broken. The paper clips mangled, and I've run out of glue. I do not remember my hands. I see them in pictures. The girl with cocoa hair and sweats in a tutu poses with a blue and red rocking horse. They dance in the neighbor's apple orchard. It is fall. Her tiny fingers radiate balance, choice, offering. Tethers reach for wonder. I pick at the glued blobs of broken metal cuticles, pulling them from their adolescent stubs. I will leave them here for someone else to hobble. I will go without for just a little while, waiting for the wonder to grow. And this is thank you. Okay. Our story is untitled. Unwittingly, and yet of her own unfurling, when it feels like this disappears and there are no words to fit in a palm that still smells of burnt butter, or ways to say how anything is felt, the overwhelm of suffering too heavy for the human heart. Doubt creeps in to forget why we woke from loneliness if we do not write it down.
Thank you, Amy. New one. All right. Oh, that brings us to me, as fate might have it. And then, yeah, can you just make sure I'm framed? I'd appreciate that. Okay. Thank you.
All right, then, here we go. I'm almost ready. Thank you.
Dan Brady, everybody.
Dan Brady, everybody. Don't do this at home. I am professional. And maybe the microphone will drop really. If it does that, it's a plan. All right. So I'm going to start off with the theme of sand, and then I'm going to clean the palette because it's not a friendly poem, despite the innocent title of Gone. This was written February 13th, 2006 at a little workshop that a friend of mine did. She and I and a few people get together, and then things like this happen. Gone. Into this ancient city, the sands have settled. Up high in the night sky, the broken moon hangs as if waiting for a cloud. Under its cold light, drafts play in the dust between empty buildings which glare through darkened doorways or jagged, misshapen windows. There are still people here, hidden, a sparse few of the once millions. Who sees this shadow moving back and forth among the ruins, a solitary figure, indistinct, furtive, long after evening has turned into night? Lonely. Only the sky tells the hours now. At the calling of a lone bird, that shadow turns with its man. Cold branches are picked for their potential, though this place will never be home. It is finished with people. The vast array of buildings and streets is quieting, whispering its very last breath. It is a city of sand, with a grief as vast as its silence. Someday, soon, no one will know of it. No one will do the telling or ask to hear its song, which is why the figure is as mute as its shadow and chooses to wander so long as choice remains not choosing. Thus there is no home in this city, fast by the vast, peaceful sea. Only ill-scented drafts touch what has now become a stranger to hands, where the curling whistle of wind sometimes seems to be the only calling of what might be a name. And now for another happy poem. This is the cleaning of the palette aside. Okay, do this. This is called You Say. You say you are searching, that you cannot find it. You say you are lost. Listen, grasshopper, love is not a battleground where the bleeding losers are left strewn about to beckon for death's welcoming rap, longing for a final gentle word or touch from God. And I do not serve the angels. They have just about everything they need by now. As for you, aching in mind, body, or soul, who have that acquired taste for love, the thirst that seemingly drives one out of one's mind, I'll tell you what, you can find it simply enough. Go, give nourishment to all tender beings. Feed every wide mouth. Quench all thirst for love, and love as you would be loved right where you are. Let your happiness wander no more, no matter where you go, and so be requited. Let your beautiful lips and supple, passionate flesh open sweetly to all the love that you can imagine. Yield to its want, and disseminate all those vital gifts you have upon this magnificent world of ours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we have, thank you for that. I appreciate that. My mom thanks you, my sister thanks you, my brothers, second cousins, best friends, uncles, second grade teachers, best neighbors, uncles, friends, neighbors, second, I don't know, all that. They all thank you. Julian, who is, Julian?
Yes.
So he is also new, ladies and gentlemen. Give him the And then we have Martin before our feature. So that's Martin's appraised and our feature is appraised. And I'm apprised and appraised. And this guy, he knows what he does. This man, he knows. That's
Thank you.
So sand. This one's called the San Francisco Zoo. There's socks. There's sand in my socks, man. God damn. Squished up at the tip of each one like a used up condom. Making each step that I take feel like I'm tugging two terrible 2-year-olds in their terrible twos. Each terrorizing my momentum with their unbearable croons that could fill up a room. They're throwing temper tantrums that are piercing the air, except that their arrows feel more like harpoons falling fast from the moon, falling like a monsoon, making it so I can barely move. Dude, you just threw me off of my groove. I'm sorry, you've thrown off the Emperor's groove. I swear my hair's about to fall out, about to fall from the roots. I'm building up, it's filling up, all the sand in my shoes. I should have taken them off along with my socks and walked with them in hand, but forgot. Oh well. I'm guessing that I'll just come back when the weather's sunny and blue, but knowing San Francisco, that's like another month, maybe 2. So much for the San Francisco Zoo. I'd like to sing a quick little sonnet. It's called What Lurks Beneath. Maybe I should tune this first, huh? I wanna know what lurks beneath, where darkness waits below. I wanna know what sins you keep hidden far in tow. I wanna know what makes you weep when you are all alone. I wanna know what goals you seek and just how far you go. I wanna know what pain you hide every time you smile. I wanna know what moves inside each moment worth your while. But oh, how happy I could die if I should brace your deepest dreams. So maybe then, in sweet embrace, you'll briefly think of me. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Come on back. Come on back. All right. And now I believe we have, thank you, Julian, we have Martin, Joseph, for God's sakes. And then I will blabricate complimenting the feature of the evening in the future will come forward. Give Martin a round of applause, please. There we go.
Good evening, Sacred Grounds.
Good evening.
What?
What?
Good evening, Sacred Grounds. You know, I read here a few weeks ago, and Dan, as is his wont, put on his Irish brogue in introducing me, and admitted that he had forgotten why he put on his Irish brogue to introduce me. And I had to remind him a little later. But first, let me ask, is anybody aware that on Sunday it's St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, laddie. Yeah, go. Ellen, go bra.
All right.
Or braless if you're
All right. Well, that's what this is about.
All right.
I trot it out once a year. It's called, and I'll do it right one of these days, Lennons, Brennans, Woodlocks, and Quins. I live in San Francisco, but I'm far from there today. I've made the leap and driven the drive to get to Galway Bay. I chose a day that's sunny, where you can feel the blues and greens from Galway Bay to Castlebar with 3 lakes in between. I love my San Francisco. You can hardly tear me away, but I've heard a special calling that brings me here today. I've heard the ghosts of my ancestors saying, "Won't you please pay us a visit? We have a little chore for you that I think you'll find exquisite." "What's that?" I cried in wonderment as I drove north beside Loch Mosque. "Oh no," they said, "you must hear our tales before you're entitled to ask." It was only then that I could see my kin, all visualized with young freckled skin. The Lennons were there, and so were the Quinns, and the Woodlocks and Brennans had also dropped in. Arthur Lennon came forward and told of starvation in 1848, when potato crops failed and farmers were jailed if they dared to speak out of their fate. "It's the landlords," he cried. "They're the reason people died. They exported all our food to other places. All that we had left to eat was rotting beneath our feet, while the English used our crops to stuff their faces." He stepped back for a moment and asked, kind of sad, "You don't know what starvation is, do you, lad?" "No, sir," I admitted, though my young days were tough. When it came to our gullets, there was always enough. "Then I have something to say, and I want you to know this. The deaths from the famine were mostly injustice. English lords owned our land, and each year the arseholes divided our land into smaller parcels. For tenants, the land had shrunk to a smidgen. The only way to reverse it was adopt their religion. Because Catholic sons were parsed but a fraction, and those who converted got all of the action. When the potato crops failed, it became the last straw, and death took 1 in 4 to his claw. Meanwhile, the landlords, in avoidance of poor tax, decided transportment was our proper climax. They forced us to march with our every belonging, and they put us to sea as if we'd done the wronging." "I just one thing to ask," said Arthur from his grave. "With the English on our land, what is a slave?" Sarah Quinn took up the story and recited the tale of 8 weeks at sea and surviving the gale, surviving the lightning that struck the mid-mast, surviving at last. Out to America, to New York City's pier, then across to St. Louis out on the frontier. And their son had a daughter, and her daughter gave birth to me. So the chain is not so very long since you sailed across the sea. "So that's it?" I asked of my ancestors. You brought me here to be grateful, for it's that I am, for life itself, and for all of you who made it faithful. "Hell no, you twit," they said. "As one, that's not the essence of your task. We told our stories to give you wit. Now you're entitled to ask." "Okay," I said, "I've come this long way. I'll lay flowers on her ancestors' graves." "It's not for that," they all spat, "that we put in for your commission. It's on those knaves, the landlords' graves, that we want you to be pissin'." Since they asked so nicely, I did their bidding, starting with the tenant master, then up through all the land agents and English lords who oversaw the whole disaster. And as I did it, I heard Arthur Lennon sing, "I am pissin' on the graves, all the English landlords' graves. It took 160 years, but I'm pissin' on their graves." Then back to the county of Galway for a final word of advice and a final thought from my ancestors that I thought would be quite nice. "Look to the present," they said. "We're all of us here. Go and find your relative and buy him a beer. America, Australia, all over this green land, you'll find Lennons and Brennans and Woodlocks and Quinns. Offer each of them your hand. We've been farmers and ditch diggers, launderers and clerks. We've been teamsters and clerics, and a few of us were jerks. And we've held many positions, not all of them fetal. We've been bishops and cops, and one was a beetle. So find you a pub and thumb through the white pages, then pick up the phone and don't ask what his age is. Just get him to join you, or better yet, her, from the age of liberation. That isn't a slur. And hold your mugs high. It is then that we'll join you to past, present, and future, none of whom has a clue. And one last thing. Don't you stay at an inn. Instead, knock on the doors. your most distant kin. Say, I'm here from America. Won't you let me come in? All you lands and Britons and Willocks and Queens.
All right. All righty, righty. Now we've come to it, as I like to say. We have come to it. We have come to it. Yea, before your very eyes this evening, before your very souls, you shall be transported in many various ways. Now, I do not know what Jan Steckel has exactly planned, but I've heard her voice, heard her poetry. It is grand. It rhymes. I love that. An exacting kind of voice, exacting in the sense that, like several poets that I know and enjoy, she selects words. It's not just like she writes a, I'm done, yeah, I gotta read this one. She goes back and she looks at them, she carefully selects, chooses, decides, and makes choices. And it affects how effective the poems are, and they are effective. Now, as to subject matter and topics, she covers the topical, the usual, and the unusual, the personal, the interpersonal, and that part of the soul which is best expressed through poetry, which is not actually given, descriptors and described, but you will hear it between the words, you will hear it in your heart as you listen to a fine poet. So, Jan Steckel, come on up here. We're going to have a nice time. And the wonderful Jan Steckel, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Let me make sure this is exactly right for you. Well, thank you. All right. Let me make sure this is perfect.
It is
straight in.
Thank you so much
I'm going to make sure you're
for having me here. I'm
welcome.
really honored to be here in the longest running open mic in San Francisco, but also the best run open mic in the Bay Area.
There we go. Thank you so much, my dear.
Thank you.
All right.
And I was impressed tonight by all the beautiful voices at the Open, and I can't wait in particular to hear Asha Ajani, our mini feature, has come all the way from New Haven, Connecticut. I'm really looking forward to you.
Thank you for saying her name.
Of course. Serendipity Doodah. Portland has a vegan strip club called Casa Diablo. The women don't wear leather or feathers. You can get a veggie hummus wrap or eggless egg rolls with your lap dance. Minimum tip is $2, so the topless barmaids only make change in $2 bills. Try to spend them anywhere else in Portland and everyone knows where you've been. The women there don't wear lucite heels. They pole dance to grunge and strip off flannel shirts. Some keep their gold toe socks on when it's cold and kind of damp. One dreadlocked white girl wearing nothing but a black cowboy hat and tattoos touched the necklace Berkeley's bubble lady had made for me. Is it labradorite? She asked. I didn't know. The dancer whipped out an iridescent stone from God knows where, switched on the flashlight of her cell phone. I don't know where that came from either. Indeed, her crystal glittered the same as mine. You can touch my titties, honey, she said. No nipple twisting, though. That's labradorite, all right. It's for synchronicity and serendipity. Thank you. So, my new book is called Like Flesh Covers Bone. It's out from Zeitgeist Press. We have a couple of other Zeitgeist authors in the house tonight. Thank you. And we've had a rough time the last few months. First, we lost Julia Vinograd, who was responsible for some of us, including me, becoming poets. So there's a tribute anthology to Julia that Deborah Fouché is editing, and I'm going to pass these around in case anybody wants to submit something, a memory or a thought for the anthology. By torrent. The phlebotomist drew my blood. Instead of dark arterial crimson, outflowed hues I'd dyed my hair, cobalt, violet, fuchsia, bi-colors shimmering like a switch-hitting hummingbird's throat, widening from vein to river deep enough to drown an army of lovers. Oh, and for this one, the next one, called the Pincus, I want to pass out this piece of art. It's by Samuel Bach. Samuel Bach was a survivor of the Holocaust and a surrealistic artist. So I'm going to wait until that gets around the room, and then I'm going to come back to read the Pincus, which is an ekphrastic poem about that painting I'm passing out. This one gets at Tommy's poem about gender fluidity. Intersection. When I help a woman on with her jacket, my sexuality grabs my gender identity and waltzes it around the room. I'm a woman, but there's a man in me. He's a bit of a fop, sort of a pansy. He might be a fad. Why shouldn't everything about me be fluid? I'm a squishy skin bag of water and salt, ocean inside and out. As a child, I was sure I was a boy. The heroes of all the best books were boys. I pretty much lived in my head what I read. Now, I feel more like a woman, except around straight women. Then I feel like a butch lunk. My husband thinks I'm a femme because I wear lavender, color, and scent, and ask him to open jars. All roads meet in me, butch when I wake up, femme at lunch, androgynous at dinner, totally trans all night. Can I get that door for you? The Pincus. After God made or didn't make the world, he made or didn't make the artist Samuel Bach, whom he did or didn't drop in Vilna. When Sammy still drew with crayons, the Germans took his grandfathers to the forest outside Vilna and shot them. He started to draw with charcoal made from wood gathered in the forest. Two poets organized an art exhibit in the Vilna ghetto, invited the 9-year-old prodigy to show his work. The next year, the boys' grandmothers were taken to the forest and shot. The poets pressed into the 10-year-old's hand the Pincus, official record of the Vilna Jews, so that their stories, if not their lives, might be saved with the boy and his talent. His mother escaped with him to a monastery. All the boy saw in the Pincus was the blank spaces on the paper. He covered the backs of the fragile pages and the yellowed margins with drawings like a scribe illuminating a sacred text. 10 days before liberation, they shot his father. Later, Bach painted over and over the absence of God reaching from heaven through the bones of a destroyed house toward the forefinger of war-torn man. Always in the background, showing through where God would have been, the crematoria smokestacks.
Wow.
This one has an epigraph by my friend Cassandra Dallett.
Oh, yeah.
It's from her book, Bang Bang Niner Gang. Tough Shed City. Quote, we, the former tenants of San Francisco, dead in jail, sleeping under the freeway, out here somewhere between Stockton and the grave. From Bang Bang Niner Gang by Cassandra Dallett. She changed bedpans 20 years at Oakland Kaiser, got evicted for day late rent so the landlord could double it for tech workers forced in turn from San Francisco. She ran out of Vicodin, stole fentanyl from patients, got fired and banned, sleeps in the rail yard, shoots up to Barrett. He drove the bus in a 12-hour shift until ride-sharing shut down the line, couldn't find new work at his age, lost his house in the crash, lived in a sidewalk tent camp where denizens got hit by cars at the off-ramp. They drove a truck for a rainforest grocery till Amazon Fresh drove it out of the market. They squatted in a condemned warehouse with other non-binary people and artists till a space heater plus a tangle of extension cords sparked and burned Queer Spirit to the ground. He supervised parking lots, but his back went to shit, started drinking again to numb the pain, got fired, wife kicked him out, cleaned windshields at the gas station, slept under an overpass, got beaten up, still thinks it beats the shelter. All ended up in a tent city where neighbors emailed City Hall daily demanding their removal. One night, someone set the tents on fire. The city herded them into plastic sheds that used to be for rakes and spades, now stored other broken tools. Now that's my town. Atascadero. Our wheels got stuck between the San Marcos Pass and Salinas. Dead fennel lined the shoulder. Let us remain in your hearts, said the side of a truck full of iceberg. We crashed in the Motel Inn on Baseline Avenue off the Senator Vernon L. Sturgeon Memorial Highway. Giant plywood cutouts of happy Hispanic peasants tilled the spinach fields. Paint peeled off the south side of the water tower. I filled an ice bucket at the rattle machine, fixed myself a Jack and Ginger. Prickly pears by the propane tank sang, Luna, caballo, guitarra, cuchillo, amor.
Yeah.
First girl I kissed. You lured me to the squat you shared with that old man, only middle-aged as I am now. TV on, him in the lazy boy, just one room divided by a bookcase. We huddled on the other side. He can't see through, you whispered. He could, though. I saw him seeing. You dug out a slightly crushed joint, shared it as promised, wound your hand in my neck-nape's hair, nibbled my throat. Pot swept me into you, your soft lips, little whimpers. I feared I'd get you thrown onto the streets again, until it dawned on me, he wasn't letting you bring me home. You were letting him watch you bring me off. The New Age. Fishermen land sharksicles off Cape Cod. Frozen iguanas like blighted oranges drop from Florida trees. Down under, heat wave boils bats' brains in flight. Flying foxes litter the ground like baseballs at batting practice. A subtle moon watches. Bayous dry up. Forests conflagrate. Floods flash. Mudslides from mountains to ocean. A brown bear frozen mid-roar paws at nothing, dead on the beach. Washed there from the national forest with twisted cars and splintered trees. The freeway is a river of muck over pieces of people. Gas fires light the night from broken... Thank you. Why they got deported. Because he had a tattoo of a heart with the name of his birthplace in Mexico. Because she used a social security number she had made up. Because he had one DUI 10 years ago. Because she overstayed her visa when she was 7. Because he didn't sound like he'd been born in Lansing. Because it took her an extra 3 months to save up the $495 to renew her work permit. Because 20 years ago he bought a car that had expired registration. Because she gave a hand job to an undercover cop. Because she took food stamps to feed her 3 kids while she worked cleaning hotel rooms. Because he had a joint on him 12 years ago. Because fire is hungry and famine walks the land. Because the night is dark and full of terrors. Because we don't want you to play with us. Because it's ours. Because we can. This one's part of a series I wrote of poems about the wives and daughters of doctors and scientists. The Bone Setter's Daughter. She dreams of comfrey and burdock, feels through skin and spasmed muscles, waits for marrow to hit the heart, pulls the stalks that serve for splints, boils the tea that lays down bone, mixes in ground egg and oyster shells. They come for her father, but after the crack, the scream, he leaves the mending to her. They give him a chicken, a hare, or a passed-down brooch, their gratitude mixed with suspicion. To her, he leaves the slow accretion of the months, the strength of calluses, the ache of rain. And you know, I mentioned in one of those poems about people getting hit on the off-ramp from the freeway in the homeless camp. And actually, a good friend of ours in Zeitgeist Press, David Gallup, got hit by a car walking back from the Safeway one night a few weeks ago, and he's in Highland Hospital. He's been there kind of in a semi-coma. He'll wake up and look at you, but he can't talk, and he can't move. So he seems to perk up a lot when people read poetry to him or play music for him. So if you know him and you'd like to go find him in Highland, go read him a poem or play him a song, please. The spell I want to cast for Julia Vinograd. I want Julia's new boot and brace for her bum leg to galumph up the 3 flights of stairs like a one-legged prince to rescue her from her tower with its stained glass windows, ancient paperbacks, unwashed cutlery, portraits of old crushes, or of her as a winsome girl, long hair, wide mouth, and no idea at all that she was beautiful. It would sweep her leg into its embrace without any buckling or tightening, graceful as Erica Young's zipless fuck. Off she would stride in her 7-league boot, carrying a leather sack that never grew empty of rotisserie chicken, Coca-Cola, and See's chocolates. She'd scatter magic bat poems, flapping off high-frequency squeaking to pirate caves. She'd march all the way to Oakland, home of dangerous raiders and ninja anarchists. There we'd pile her into our decades-old Lexus and take her to crow at emerald and ruby Christmas lights. By morning, they'd pass through her enchanted mirror into a poem, fixed like lightning bugs on pins, forever winking, silent fireworks come to roost.
Very good.
Thank you. Dinner party. What's more evanescent than theater, more passionate than a peep show? Fennel sweats in the refrigerator, butter softens on the dish. This is not another food porn poem. It's about that feeling, ineffable, though I'm trying to F it, of Cabernet and coffee in the stomach while someone plays piano and ice cream melts on chocolate ganache. It's streams of conversation coalescing and separating. It's yellow forgiving light instead of hard fluorescence. It's the candle in the painting, the streetlight in the fog, that moment shining skew to time when we were all together laughing. Yeah, 5 minutes. Thank you. Bye, babes in the woods. What did we know? We thought we'd just be ogling together people of all genders all the time, painting ambiguous genitalia in fuchsia, purple, and turquoise on the bedroom wall, marching in our Bitch magazine and Lesbian Avenger t-shirts, reading Alison Bechdel and Marianne Mohanraj till our baby-bye eyelids drooped. We'd cuddle up like futon puppies, draw the shades on the 4th of July, watch Nosferatu while heteronormatives held sunshiny bake-offs and cookouts. We'd read our horror stories, homo poems, sexual histories of the garden snail at Perverts Put Out, Smack Dab, Queer Open Mic, The New Shit Show, The Godless Perverts Story Hour. We never dreamed in our wildest sparkly bi nightmares we'd end up with long-term healthcare insurance, forgetful parents tumbling downstairs, earthquake retrofits, a trail of dead friends, arguing on Tumblr with 20-something gender and sexuality police over whether bisexuals loved only 2 genders while pansexuals only fucked pans. Thanks. My book, Julia taught me how to hawk my tawdry wares. So my book sells for $15, and I have 2 older books too. I'm going to finish with In Vino Veritas. I wasn't conceived in vitro, but in vino, when my young mother got tipsy on artfully spiked fruit punch at my father's departmental holiday party. Of course we planned you, said my mother. We just planned you for later. I've known since junior high I was a diaphragm baby. It's good to be pushy. I'm a celebration. I'm a little Dionysus. I'm what happens when you let your guard down. I'm a whirlwind, slut puppy, firecracker, a one-woman oops with a radium glow. I'm truth and beauty, a force for chaos. If you don't like it, kiss my assertiveness. I'm a random accident, a tossed-off spark, a twinkle in the conceptual storm's eye. If you were conceived in vitro like my best friend's kid, throw all the stones you can at the transparent walls. Wine is truth serum, loved one, so bottoms up, not belly up. Belly up to the trough and imbibe the spiked Kool-Aid. Maybe, if you're lucky, you can shatter your own chrysalis, shine like the aurora borealis, bathe your baby soul in real Cabernet.
Jen Stickles, keep it up. Applause there.
Thank you so much for the honor of reading for you. I'm going to pass around a list of upcoming performances and also a sign-up list in case you want to get emails about my readings and publications. Can't wait to hear everybody else.
All right. We're going to have a short break, and Richard will kick us off the second show. So when the beeper goes, we'll be starting. We are close on time, so watch that clock. David. All right. So can I have that little book back? I got to show somebody else. Yeah. David heard that I... Yeah, what? Come here for a second, would you? You have somebody to come here for a second, would you? And they don't come here for a second, would you?
Yeah, come back. Mr. Brady.
Yeah.
I have a thought, and I'm just going to share it with you.
7.
Is this what, an iPad?
I don't know.
You don't know.
That's not mine. He comes in, sets it up, and walks out.
Yes, it's an iPad.
Yes. I put you in.
What they do is they have little, listen for one sentence. They have little recorders that can attach to this via a lightning connector, which this is, and just like be a little dongle that would hang off of it, and it would video record the output of what you're doing here, so that if you had an interruption in transmission, it would you'd still have the full thing on the dongle, and you could replace the interrupted transmission post facto with the complete transmission. Worth listening, worth talking to Mr. Natural about.
Yes, I would say.
Okay. I gotta go. See ya.
All right, see you later. Be good or careful. What's my name?
Put the chain. Ask me if I'll tell you the same.
See, take a look. This is the model of the book. Yeah, you're in there. Aren't you in this thing? Yeah, you want to give me some. See, let's see where the hell
All for cable content?
around here somewhere.
To something in operation.
Yeah,
There it is.
Which one?
You speak to an operator. 20.
So I got it assembled, and so we're going to do some kind of thing here where people order extra copies or whatever, and then bring them here, distribute them, people take what they want.
Hey, thanks. I look forward to hearing your story. When you get
Antoinette said she was going to do it, but she sent me an email saying she can't do it. I figured you're here, you know how to do everything. But our time is going to be very crushed. I got to go ask somebody something here.
My writing to get the sand.
Yeah. You guys know each other from long time? What's your name?
Percy Ryder, but my name is Richard. My name is
I'm having fun with it. You look gorgeous. Appreciate it.
Which one are you reading out of all of them?
I'm reading out of this one. That's my new one. Yeah, and this one's the
I got so many books to read.
No. I mean, I might
Then you turned around. We missed one.
What? The hound Greg was sitting across there.
The dogs are barking. Who was sitting here?
Greg was sitting.
And now where did he go?
He's still here.
Right here.
When you were looking for
There he is.
When you were looking for a seat.
Thank you. You know, all of a sudden I'm the co-conspirator.
I'm doing good.
And we'll do the whole thing with shakers.
Well, an egg shaker.
So.
Shake a hot.
Oh, God.
Use all of this.
Shake it, man. Shake it. Shake it on the other side.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.
Here.
I'm gonna give you some more because you've got too much stuff.
Okay, that's all right.
This is for your friend. The cute.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Is he happy to get those?
Well, he hasn't said yes or no yet. I said I have these things for you, and I mailed them to him.
Yeah, I must have given you 10.
I know. I don't. You know, if he's, it's up to him to tell me.
If he doesn't want them, give them back.
Okay.
Because I always feel I want to make sure that that hand people get that kind of stuff because it's meant so much to the world. But,
All right.
but I find them really interesting. So
All right.
yeah, that's it. I didn't know if anybody was that. That is ripped. But it's an interesting. It's an interesting book. It's
Well, if I have too much stuff, I can use this next week.
French and English, yeah. It's English on one side and French on the other.
How much time do we have? No, that's okay. You're just no, you're fine.
You know, c'est en faire.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to be very tight with time. We have 14, I think.
I think you've got too many for me to do this. I won't be back until April anyway, but I mean, if you've got a different mini feature, I think you should do that.
No. She is extra. She can't.
I know.
We have you. You're regular. She's extra. Just we'll figure it out. Okay, I'm gonna go get Richard right now.
I'll get him. Cursive Rider, come up. Come on out.
Yeah, I'll bring some more.
So that's the demo copy, so you can look and see what it looks like.
Sanderell, come on up. We're ready.
Next class, ladies and gentlemen. Do I look good?
Just have to have a grandstand voice. And be
Ladies
able
and
to project
gentlemen,
it.
nobles and ants, cross-eyed mosquitoes, and bow-legged ants. We're about to begin.
Mosquitoes, yes.
Yeah, Al Pacino. I don't do no Al Pacino.
I don't know what you're talking
I don't know nothing. I could have been a contender. Now all I got is a one-way ticket to Perucaville. Well, ladies and gentlemen, give Red Sanderella a round of applause.
Second show is underweight. Wait.
Dudamon. I am lucky enough to have Dudamon with me.
All right, well, I have an old piece since I didn't write anything on sand. It started I wrote this about 4 years ago. It's called That's Right. It's called that.
Yo, quiet, we're starting, please.
All right.
There we go.
Sorry. I was going to listen in.
There we go.
All right, this is called Camels, Sun, and Snow. Sun beats down on desert sand. Hill dries, waves of air, sand shimmers. Desert wind blows sand, camels disappear, reappear. Snow fell, now breaks under camels' feet, as with their mouths pick up the chunks of snow, chew, gorge themselves. Humps mimic mountains of rocks, sand, while snow fills them with life's melted liquid. Camels walk down spines of dappled hills, breathing mist that floats, dissipates the sky. From mountains, wind scours rocks down to desert sand. Yellow eye shines on mother's deserts, warming, caressing, kissing, as cold tries to rule. Camels embrace their warm coats. There will be no spitting this day. Life for the moment is good for the camels of the desert. All right, enough of that nice shit.
Get nasty.
USA waits. By the way, USA is the United States of America. If you're going to be an empire, I gave us a name. We are the USAN Empire. Called USA waits. USA waits has all the time in the world. The ancient rich. USA waits. Waiting for the blood quantum runs its course, stealing remains of native nations, where the people must prove who they are by their blood, as governments lust, thinking of all that tax money, resources. In the meantime, more killed, sterilized. Less natives there are, sooner USA takes possession. I'm sure USA citizens agree. I see no protest from us. That means you. We are unaware of the existence of nations within the USAN Empire. In USA, we wake at many wakes where we will not be woke. And the last piece is called USA's Delusion. How can you ever be a great country when you were founded on genocide, slavery? Rome was founded on the twin wolves, Romulus and Remus. USA was founded by jackals dressed as educated white men, claiming, stealing land that belonged to the people already here. Their Pope, God, said they had this right as Christians to Christianize or kill. USAN's forming a government based on the Haudenosaunee, or more commonly known as the Iroquois Confederation, refused to give people their role as a matriarchal society. White Christian men who will not tolerate that is seen today where women are still second class. As one of the leaders of the Confederation reportedly said, when USA formed its government, they saw a great light. Not long after, the great light dimmed. We are delusional that you are free and fair country, when in fact we are furthest from it. In USA, you have a right to go bankrupt if you get sick. Try to get an education, almost guaranteed a job, not in the field you studied, where you were barely able to make enough money to support a family, and may have to go on welfare when you work for companies like Walmart, Whole Foods. In USA, you have a right to be experimented on through microwaves for all cell phones and Wi-Fi, and through things like genetically altered foods, just to start. You still believe you're number one in almost all areas, when in fact we are not number one in any area except in the military. And in that, we're not all that. The empire has always been made for the rich, wealthy, white people, no one is tribally rich. And yet, you will die believing you are free, and if you just work hard enough, you can make it to the top. The truth is, you are free. You were always free. You just enslaved yourselves with a little help from your friends while enslaving others than yourselves. Your country was stolen from you even before it began, and it stole it from the natives. This empire will be short-lived, as well as your pretensions. The tribally rich will then move on to another empire, where the people and the new empire will decimate one another as you have done to yourselves. Thank you. Good
Wow, love that. So, as you can see, like as oftentimes happens in the second show, we're running close on time, so we're putting an on-deck chair over here. So Owen, where's Owen?
I got him in the on deck.
All right, and then AJ, you should start it on up there, buddy, and then we're gonna try to go close on time.
All right. Working with traffic jam, prime time traffic. That's jacket on again. I know whose jacket this is, so I'm wearing it again. I'm gonna check this. I want to wear this guy's jacket. I don't know whose jacket is. Is his microphone on? Is there a filter on it?
No,
is this directional?
it's unplugged.
What's the pickup pattern on here? Did I unplug it?
I don't know, but it's unplugged now. Now it's plugged in. Check it out.
I might don't know. This is unplugged. It's like Nirvana unplugged. Critical band. Rest in peace. All right. I got. Take the tea out of the tripping and you're ripping. Slipping down the sidewalk and you're gripping. Everything that you've been gripping, take the tea, put it in front, ripping and tripping again. Hey, that's about ripping it up. And you know, being in the Bay Area, from right here is the birthplace of thrash. Should know a little bit of something about ripping it up. And I just like to say one thing, White Spike. Anyways, that was a shout out to whoever the fuck knows about White Spike. And you know, I like to just for one minute just say, I don't know why I'm saying this, but you know, I don't claim punk rock. I never have. I probably never will. But you know, it was a very driven. It was a driving force in my life at one time. I don't know what it is now, but you know, fuck you fucking punks. Anyways, even if you're here, even if you're older than me, I don't care. Fucking punks. Anyways, you know, what am I but just some dude with some purple shoes, right? Hey, purple rights, check it out. So, you know, I don't know, I had something to say. I mean, it's been a weird day, but I don't know, we're with this 5-minute time span. Last time I talked about a little about suicide, I know I cut it short, kind of like, probably left little holes in the theory, but you know, you kind of know what's going on with that. I'm going to work a little bit off the script right now. You know, I'm not from California. But I've been I got about 17 years in here. Yeah, I'm from a freaking river town off the Mississippi. MSSI, yeah. I'm from a little town called Muscatine, Iowa, aka Fire Island. You know, and I came back to California about 8 years ago. You know, the first 9 years I lived in California, you know, I played living shit. The last 8 years, I've been kind of. I came back to California to hit the streets about 8 years ago. Anyway, I left Fire Island. Why did I leave Fire Island? You want to know? I don't care if you want to know, anyways, y'all fucking fucks. I'm going to tell you anyways, because those motherfuckers are always Mississippis. They Mississippi. I never Mississippi, you know? So, I'm not missing no Sippies, man. I ain't like those punks over there in Fire. Keep that in mind, please. Because they're Mississippis all day long. They're spilling all over the goddamn clowns. They're spilling all over themselves. Fucking bastards. They're good, but you know what? I don't cry over spilled milk, and when it comes down to it, I don't cry over Mississippi's. Mississippi's Mississippi. Anyways, it's the large river. It's the second largest river in the world. The chief river industry in the United States. 1 point probably is today. But check it out. I used to be jumping barge waves and shit on wave runner and shit. Wakeboard and jumping on footbridge wave and shit. Catfish beer. But I can't really swim. So anyways, those clowns, I don't cry over Spillman. I don't cry over Mississippi's. I'm gonna go back over there and just visit and clean up the mess. They know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I could be making shit up. Anyways, I'm gonna try this one out, but I'm trying to work on the C and the A. I've been mentioning I'm like celebrating, I'm partying my third category, 3C. So I'm working on the 3C, purple writing. Check it out. So I don't know. C major, I'm in the circle right now. When I need a little help with the A, you fucking A, right? You know what I mean? So put a little time in California here now. It's that time. God damn, I'm here to date women. Now I'm gonna have to work this last one. It's less than a minute. So I'm gonna try and get out. I was gonna work my Bluetooth device, but I can't because everybody needs to get on the mic. So let's try this one. And it's about not committing suicide.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Next week.
Yeah. Bring it back.
Stay tuned. Dun dun dun. 101. Defense.
All right. Give him a round.
White spice.
All right. Owen Douglas coming back. Give him a round as he comes up in the
First Jet Charter 77.
Pasha.
Pasha
is after Owen.
on deck, fifth chair.
Is Pasha here?
I took all my shirts off.
Go Pasha.
Hold on, so I gotta interrupt for a minute. I gotta get my shirts. Sorry. We love you.
All right. No Pasha.
No,
You're real.
she's back there.
I'm green to this. Don't trip.
Okay, all right, and go, Mr. Owen. There you go. Let me frame you there, dear. And then we have Karen. Then it looks like John, and then Greg. So,
Yeah.
all right, we're good.
Okay, here we go.
All right, Mr. Owen.
The night rain is a lover. The night rain is a lover, the loner who began all metaphors that exist in poems, have began with the night rain. Passion is a night storm. The sky like a blue sun sustains us like science, who sang elegance. Strange sonnet. Early the morning bell bleats and beats its sonorous surprises. Men set sail on the morning dew, the wondrous land of metaphors. Yes, there is a land of metaphors. The moon cried and tried too hard to play. The cold sun says nothing. The wind bites hard on the unfortunate clocks. Unwind the hours. I am today, I am tomorrow. Confusing I write. No, nothing. Nothing I do is all right. Helpless as a bell in hell, there is feeling and shrilling. I am lost in the shadow of possibilities, of actions that were, but are now possible as the thrill call of paranoia in the distance. Paranoia calling me home. Poem in search of a sane library. A metaphor succeeds when my failings fall, to fail to fall. Voices talk aloud in halls big enough to shout at me. Titters of boredom. I am angry in search of the quixotic. 2 words make a world. The poem is a grand ball, a huge cocoon. The words are juxtaposed indifference. Indifference trying to say something in sharp biting beauty. I am trying hard not to try too hard to write a poem that can cope with indifference. The luck and the stars, a villanelle. A passion for periwinkles, all the bright glory. The sea that never complains, My lucky stars, love is never history. A guitar sings a furtive foray of sound, a reminder of a refrain. Periwinkle's passion, the bright glory. The day is long, no events, more than a candle of cold disdain. My luck, my love is never history. The sun is patient, a long story. Sun in Scorpio, bright, a little inane. A passion for periwinkles. Ah, bright glory. The poet in the street, a whore who can rhyme in the rain for luck. Love is never history. A mime talking to shadows. Gore, more gore, I am confused. Hollow gains, the passion of periwinkles, the glory of bad luck. I ran out on history.
All right, thank you, Mr. Owen. And then Karen. You're on, Karen, you're going to be, oh,
On deck, Karen.
You're on
Okay,
the
on deck, on deck. Instead of doing, what?
You're sitting, you're on the on deck chair.
Yeah, what?
Someone else is coming at your neck. You're the
Oh,
you're
okay, on deck chair.
Yeah, she's coming up and you're on that chair though, so you're ready to go. That's how we're trying to save time. So. All right.
Hello.
Hello. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, no, not since last time Jan was here.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I'd pull out an old one. This is one of my 70s songs. I'm not sure which way to go. I would like to see your smile. I miss it, and I know I could talk with you a while and let my feelings go. And though I'm worried now, seasons come and they go. Maybe later in the day we can watch the river flow. I try to ease my mind to lighten up the pain. Waiting for the sun to shine after all the Okay, I'm going to attempt this. Running around on the town today, going down to the dock on the bay. Listen to the waves, that's all. Sorry. Try again. Running around on the town today, going down to the dock on the bay. Listen to the waves, that's all. Out here in the world makes my trouble seem don't understand the on deck bit.
Oh, that's
so,
when you
yeah.
sit on the chair, so you.
Oh yeah,
when you
no, I
you're
would
in
never
your-
sit in front of the performer. Oh my goodness.
Next.
Oh, okay.
Next performer.
I'm just going to do a couple of songs, two with audience participation, and that's just because we've got sand and we have, of course, Sunday we have St. Patrick's Day. So these are just songs that I've written that I thought, okay, we can do this instead of the many features. So this is, this first one is, I thought we needed more Irish songs. So this goes, Irish waters, Irish air, flow beside my county Clare. Fiery poppies, fiery hair, blow beside my county Clare. Castles nestled in the trees, tables set for cakes and teas. Ireland rests upon God's knees in County Clare. There you go. That's my Irish song.
Ah, for God's sakes.
Okay, now we have our audience participation, and this, actually, we could use that wonderful sand instrument. That was beautiful. But I want all of you singing, I may have done this before, but anyway, this is the sand thing. You have to sing sand, 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 sand. Can you do that, Roger? Sand, sand, yes. Thank you. Sing me a song of the sandy shore. Sing me a song of the sea. Sing, sing, sing a sandy song. Sing a song of the sand that was made to be free. Sing a song of the sand and our own fair land. Sing a song of the sand and the sea and the sea. Sing a song of the sand and the sand. You were the best ever. Woo! Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, this last one is about a little guy, Sammy, who's a little sand grain. And you have a little, you can say, I love the ocean, I love the shore. I love the sand and the seagulls that soar. I love the waves so wide and free. I love the seaside. I love the sea. You got it right? Easy to remember. Okay. Sam was sitting on the mountainside, afraid that he'd grow up to be a big landslide. A little fishy told him of a place where they'd be free to sing a song together by the shining sea. Here you go. I love the ocean, I love the shore. I love the sand and the seagulls that soar. I love the waves so wide and free. I love the seaside. I love the sea. Sammy heard his sister saying, come and have a look. And soon they both were tumbling down their happy mountain brook. So Sammy and his family found their friends and family, and now they sing together by the shining sea. I love the ocean, I love the shore. I love the sand and the seagulls that soar. I love the waves so wide and free. I love the seaside. I love the sea. A saucy seagull sat upon the ocean's crest. Please keep my ocean clean, so I can have some rest. Keep gas and oil and chemicals away from me, so we can sing together by the shining sea. I love the ocean, I love the shore. I love the sand and the seagulls that soar. I love the waves so wide and free. I love the seaside. I love the sea. It takes a lot of sand grains just to make a city walk. A lot of sand, a lot of stone, a lot of rock. But Sandy and his family found their friends and family, and now we sing together by the shining sea. I love the ocean, I love the shore. I love the sand and the seagulls that soar. I love the waves so wide and free. I love the seaside. I love the sea. There are more verses, but I think that was enough.
John Roberts in the house. No, John. Okay, Greg Pond.
Greg Pond.
Oh my God, is he?
We got Greg Pond.
Followed by JJ Rush. Thank you, JJ. And let me just turn this around so it's looking at the author of the joy that is to come to us, as we like to say it, and more. Thank you, Mr. Craig Pond.
Okay. Sand.
Sand.
I've got a couple of poems with sand in it.
Okay.
This one is called Sandbox. It's a very short one. I reach my hand into love's sandbox, hoping to find answers to questions asked, but only grasped a fistful of uncertainty that slipped through my fingers like the grains in an hourglass. The righteous side. On the righteous side, the heroes are always our guys, patriotically well defended by God and national pride. We're the only ones we believe who grieve whenever we combat and die, with each carefully counted, next of kin officially notified, folded flag, triangle style, 3-volley salute for another death certificate filed. Meanwhile, orphans, mothers, and wives mourn no more here than on the other side, over lands of jungle and sand to places where the sun doesn't shine. The loss and pain affects us all the same, through concrete desert or tropical rain, whether military blessed or white shroud dressed, the result is the same. When bullets strike flesh, when bombs leave fighters 1 or 2 limbs less, does anyone really win a war? When hearts are broken and bereft, right and left of the enemy line? Too many end up dying when everyone keeps trying to claim the righteous side. And one more. This is not about sand. It's entitled Same Old P, and it's PEA. It's inspired by the fairy tale of the Princess and the Pea. Kind of, sort of. No 40 acres, no mule, just the sting of whips and lashes. First delivered by master, then clan, now tweeted by jackass fascists. Tough roads ahead require rest. Let's be sure to get some sleep so we'll be focused and fresh when it's time to hit the streets, before they make a complete mockery of what's left of our democracy. Though it seems whenever we recline, all we ever find, like the fairy tale princess, is the same old pea still poking our behinds, so that no bed offers slumber as we wrestle against an authority with a message of white superiority that knows its days are numbered. No blanket, no bed, just a series of nods and naps. In fact, if we fall into REM, we'll fall once again into the trap of the Ghostmaster's plan. We can't afford deep sleep, no rest for the weary, no time to count sheep. So instead, we count tweets and do our best to beat the man and the latest stack of fascists popping up across the land. Still fighting for our rights against the same old grief disguised as a brand new pea that now hides uncomfortably beneath piles of plush and pillow top mattresses.
Yeah.
Big pond, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So we have JJ and Garrett come forward for Garrett, and then we have Ashia, okay, and then Shem, and then David, and then everybody else. You're on, dear.
Hello, everyone. My name is J.J. Rush. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. This is going to be a 2-part poem. The first one will be Oarsman. Many rivers I've crossed to the sea. Fragrant coves gave comfort to my misery, and though I climbed mountains and valleys, hoping for love, hoping for peace, only the oarsmen rescued me. You can let them have the stuff of so-called dreams, the painted ponds and pesos of worldly things. Let whomever will fly to the next constellation. Providence had spoken. I looked to its grace to anoint me. Came your perfumed voice, sweetly echoing. By starlight, to your harbor I've arrived. This captain claims his prize. So let not a minute age on those arms you reach to hold me, for which I came. It required a connoisseur's nerve and effort to accommodate this date coming by bus. Even my blood pressure did a jumping up I could well have done without. I sang, "Oh, buttermilk sky, I'm keeping my eyes filled on you," under breath indicating my agitated state of mind. I could have drunk a soda pop or run to the corner store for pecani sauce to jazz up the stew, to put a cap on my latest romantic intrigue. Instead, my mind broke loose, zooming ahead with thoughts about what my date would be wearing, perhaps in sync with her well-known high-stepping boot-wearing reputation. My hope was she would be kinkily dressed, causing mine eyes to pop out and temporarily calm my desperation. On recalling my first Thunder Queen experience, whom was so tastefully dressed, she went on to become the standard of excellence in my fashion book forever, so I thought. But to close the book on my eyes on the flirtatious Travestine who came next, dolled up in lavender negligee with pink ribbon tie frills at the end, could not be done. And oh, how we hardly parted the night away. Well, afterthought, she could only have been an escaped golden swan from Peacock Records, having flown below my radar screen without notice. That episode proved to me there would be no break in the Thunder Queen business anytime soon. Ever famous for blowtorch performers happily sharing the stage and hopefully their raves with me. Looking out the window again, a boy in the corner shouted, "Extra, extra, read all about the people who jumped over the wall today. Extra, extra, read all about the new men going to prison today for excessive lusting over young women and bikini bathing suits and hot pants." Overwhelming was the news and terribly exciting, but not enough to steal a scent from the rose bordering my nose that had to be an alert about the typhoon and a skirt that I was expecting. Bounded by so many interesting things, I had to console myself with a fact. This was not an anticlimactic event. Girlfriend status was on my shoulders. The pot was at the boiling point, and having chilled the wine as thoughtful hosts will do, I could only bite my tongue through the drama unraveling around me. Everything was on the table, fit for a queen's canonization. The coronation began with bang bangs and wah-wahs filling the room in my head. And like clockwork, 3 cuckoos rang out and the doorbell rang twice. Answering the door, the queen of flash swooped into the room, blowing a big red whistle loudly, a wide smile on her face. Moving into a stroll, a plant magically rolled over, doing a 60-degree swivel. She leaned into me, planting a huge wet kiss on my lips. Making a Marlene Dietrich move, then her gloves came off, followed by the boots. Singing sexual healing in the background, Marvin Gaye led the parade. comes the striptease with our touching and howling, just short of the squealing loudly. This Romeo and Juliet-like cocktail performance we will soon convert to a 3-part performance piece. The feminine fatale this time will be to knock out Miss Chastity. And with the expected conduct on her part, effortlessly she will glide into role. Thunder Queens are known for rocketing the planet forward. The lovers singing joy to the world, with everyone joining in and loving it. Thank you.
Thank you. Garrett Murphy. And now Garrett Murphy to be followed by Ashia. So Garrett's going up and Ashia goes on to the on deck. Garrett Murphy! Sorry.
You're delighted.
I am.
You are.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get you on there, buddy. There we go.
Safe and sound. Here you sit in your suburban abode, well beyond the security gate, on the quiet side of the sound wall along the throughway, at home watching the news on TV, reveling at the story about the newly erected border fence and the resurrection of old crows. But it's not enough. It never is enough, and they keep on coming. They never stop coming. Soon there will be nowhere left to run, nowhere left to hide. Walled in, cut off, suffocation is imminent, and they're still coming. It's enough to cause one to commit the capital offense of building a bridge. Not wanted, the Congressional Four. Not wanted, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Presley, Rashida Tlaib. Not wanted for the following offenses: progressive viewpoints, socialist tendencies, believing in equal opportunity, believing in speaking one's mind, refusing to stay in their place, refusing to get with the program, refusing to be happy doormats, being willing to accept the carts, to make waves, being women of color, being proud of being women, being proud of being a color, being proud of their identity, being anti-fascist, calling a spade and a chump, being, well, just not being, white males in MAGA hats. If you see any of the above insurgents, immediately join them, for indeed all decent folks should want such as them on your side.
And now our special event this evening, another mini feature this evening. She's visiting us. This is her first time here. Come on! A she. Sorry about that. I told her I'm embarrassed now.
Hi, I currently attend Yale University. I'm going into my senior year. I am an environmental studies major, and a lot of my work kind of plays with the idea of spirituality and nature and community. And so I'm super excited to be sharing that with you all today.
Yeah, very nice.
I believe that my ancestors were the first environmentalists, that my grandmother's arthritic hands caressed the world of eco-friendly practice with the same tenderness she patched up old clothes for rewear and wrote doctor's appointments on lightly used napkins. Because for us, sustainable was survival. Reuse and recycle wasn't nothing but something to do to get by. Plastic bags make excellent lunch sacks, gift bags and shower caps. Empty butter tubs become motels for leftovers, and if you're using cooking grease once, you're doing it wrong. I get a high just thinking about coconut balm melting into wrinkled palms as they dried my soft baby hairs with old t-shirts. How pleasant the memory is of restoration. Nothing gets thrown away because it is still useful in the afterlife. Empty bottles once containing ginger beer and olive oil become homes from the marigolds out back from the garden. Isn't it so funny how we cultivate flowers of death in a house that contains so much life? When my grandmother passed on, the house became a mausoleum, everything preserved and crystallized as I grew, the lessons learned washing off my back like tap water. Mainstream feminism chokes the life out of ancestral knowledge as you run towards an acceptance that is maybe less sweet but more validated. The white girls who made fun of me in middle school for bringing leftovers to lunch are the same eco-feminists who prey on black and brown land and call it salvation, who bare breasts and sing this land is our land as if the lyric and the dirt weren't both stolen, as if ecofeminism isn't yet another movement that has been co-opted, never acknowledging the privilege necessary for the means. I mean, kale and collard greens are sister plants. One just lives a couple blocks south than the other. Are you too busy using our hoods as your playground to read up on how food apartheids are plaguing black and brown communities? It is so easy to pass judgment on others while you hide behind a choice and pick your teeth with an agenda. Reusable pads and menstrual panties ain't nothing new. Just capitalized brown folk work who clean their own messes and are one with the goddess. Even I have betrayed my upbringing. I throw away old newspapers as though the ink were poison, and food waste has become a running joke between my selfish fingers and the trash can. It is so easy for me to forget, so easy for me to take my stepping stool and leave, to unplug the drain and not worry about water to soak the greens, wash the dishes, and clean the floor. My grandmother's shame, making the hairs on the back of my neck rise as if I am so close to healing, but not quite there yet. I like to pretend that if I'm honest about my shortcomings, I make room to be forgiven in the next life. That when my flesh finally becomes nourishment for something smaller than I could ever wish to become, I can give back all I have taken and become dust, the finest truth. The rain falls and baptizes me in the afterlife, a soft kiss from the ancestors as if to say, baby, come back home. Yeah! I wrote chapbooks. They're $10 each if you're interested. I have a couple poems I'll read to you from them. I have been diagnosed by 3 different therapists as having manic depression, severe social anxiety, and borderline personality disorder. I have self-diagnosed as exhausted. In the sweet granules of time I have between research papers, giving advice I don't take, and intense bursts of panic, I compartmentalize. This is something of a coping mechanism, like the way I overeat, smoke myself into a coma, do not speak to people I love for weeks at a time, the apologies pouring from my mouth like ash. I seek out the part of my brain that likes warm bread dipped in olive oil, the eager synapses that make my hands reach for freshly cut marigolds and jasmine incense. I open and close every memory, folding in the corners so they do not pierce the soft tissue of my subconscious too violently. I search for any sign of stability or truth, and the questions start flowing and flowing and flowing like a leaky faucet I do not have the machinery or the muscle memory to fix. Do I really enjoy sex? Is lavender honestly my favorite color? What do I gain from being here in this place with these people? Can a decision be made without always regretting it later? When a new day comes, I slip into something luminescent. The world was made for those brave enough to face another morning. When the Facebook videos circulate and finally reach my timeline, I heard the creaking in the walls and it reminded me of summertime. The radio filled its mouth with the sensual moans of Marvin Gaye, while we laid up miles away from any sort of baton or handcuff. Our 2 black bodies made magic from one another, a speck of dust in an infinite atmosphere of rage. Tragedy burns through the permeable membrane of the heart, our eyes too big and too black to disguise our fear. I want to be feared, I want to be remembered, and remember how the blood pooled behind his head like a halo. The people said blood spurted out of him like when a toddler squeezes a juicy juice box too tight, as if it was an accident, as if blood wasn't supposed to come out that way. I spent the night dreaming about how the stars in the night sky have died years before they reach our vision, that maybe even the stars died fighting to be seen. I have one more slightly longer piece for y'all. This is one of my favorite things that I've written, and I hope that you enjoy it too. My Spanish has chewed its fingernails off and can no longer climb out of my mouth the way it used to. And it sounds like a whiny child lost in a sea of inflections, a dialect unknown to my ears but locked away in my soul. And then there was you. There is something about brown eyes that makes them unforgettable. There is something about brown skin that makes you think of home and all the treasures you have lost and the ones that must and should and will be reclaimed. In this bed, we speak the idioms of Nahuatl and Oshun, our hearts unbridled by the burden of language, making space for our tongues to engage in more urgent matters. The only sounds that emerge cannot be uttered in good company. My body gasping, I need you to love me a little louder. I need you to love me with your hands. I need you to love the parts this narrow white world cannot make sense of. Our stories are caught between missionary church containing the wildness of our spirits, beat the native savages to cleanse the pure soul trapped under all that primitive lust, our own internalized shame, creeping from the belly of forgotten history. We are but products of our environment. Here, we are witnesses to our own abstraction. What pieces of art can be made from this entanglement of limbs? Let me show you how these hips move like watercolor, how my teeth can shine like marble under an unclothed sky, how the eyes soften like fertile soil. A part of me has walked this land before and has known its ridges and flaws without pause or remorse. Those who wish to murder the past ask that we wear our shadows lightly, but the hell that rattles in our vocal cords demands attention, demands that we return home. Tell me, what is more beautiful than a brown body in the aftershock of a climax? The earth's motion ruptures every time you dare utter your pleasure. Marvel at how it spills from your throat like sugar cane. The nakedness of love, the exchange of pleasure without word, a symphony like orgasm. In the foggy moonlight you ask me, what kind of love do you want from me? The old deities dancing in shadows on the ceiling, our nude bodies an offering to the ones who died, whose sacrifice gave way for our loving. You and I are both products of a colonial past insistent upon denying us our pleasure. Our ancestral sorrow runs through our veins like sludge. All we know is take, but here we are, you and I, folding back into the joy our forebears knew unapologetically. And doesn't it feel good to be loved like this? Before rejecting beauty, before despising the body, before the binaries told us we couldn't exist, in needing the folds, in celebration of my nappy hair and your tall brown body, know that every time we make love, it is a big middle finger to the powers that want us to pretend we know nothing of the magic that lingers in our flesh. Every time our lips touch, it is a song calling us back to the homelands, buried deep beneath the industrial concrete. And can't you hear the foundation shake? We, sites of both promise and ruin, can't you hear Atabe weep tears of yucca and joy at our most glorious creation?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. All right. And now we have David and Shem. Or is it Shem then David? No. Okay. Shem then David then Shem. Then well, Nicole is. I think she left. Did she, Nicole leave? Then we have the curse. Then we have Dudumon and the curse of Rider. I think that's what I have. Unless we have. Anyway, go ahead. David. I'm sorry. I'll stop now.
Hakim Jami, 1414 to 1492. The heaviest wave. Before Nurshivan, the just, wise sages discussed the heaviest wave in this deep of sorrow. One of them said it was illness and suffering, another that it was old age and poverty, a third that it was approaching death with lack of work. And in the end, this one was accepted. Years ago. Mage image. You cannot catch my banshee wail, for I am not Italian. Accipiter I trust, talons outthrust, gray fox upon a stallion. My natural bent lays down a scent, ring slide with river otter. Ursa Major, when you page her with her year-old cubs, I pen this scat for my top hat, my nibs worn down to nubs. You have no clue why totem pole combines witch. Solemn spirits. You would do well to taste and smell the owl hoots. You hear him? Jack in the pulpit sermons you. Trillium unfolds a trill. Flicker flickers through dusk. Newt navigates. Ping rill. Cricket chirps. Spring peeper peeps. Bullfrog ribbit. Let's go deep in search of bass or trout. Deer trail is a cinch to follow if you seek it out. Blueberry, blackberry, lollaberry on this coast. Redwoods spreading mist beholden, whispered friendly ghosts. Let fuzz on nape of neck arise. Kadir, my dear, is here. Gorget of the hummingbird, iridescent blues, arctic, tropic, topical. The whole earth is my muse. That was written by Mr. Bark, Mott L. Bark. Mott L. Bark.
I know him.
You know that? Well, he is your doppelganger.
Yeah, thank you.
This is today. And now the worder report. I hop from word to word like an errant bunny trapped in Wonderland, afraid to bolt down the rabbit hole for fear my lapels will get wrinkled. Wear the corporate uniform, ironed without blood, snazzy leather with no sole. Good jeans and a special blouse get me nowhere. I cry more for grit than for truth. Stones stick in my crop. I hunt the snails and slugs by night. I am slime mold, witch's butter. I ooze while you snooze. Slow enough to escape detection.
And that's David, and now we have Shem coming up here. Shem is next. And after that, we have the curse. We have Judimon and the curse of Brady. Oh, do you want me to lower that?
I got it.
He has it?
I just want to be tall. So this is something I wrote today. Well, I finished.
Did you write it today?
I don't know if I didn't know. I don't know if I finished writing it today, but I finished enough to share.
All right.
Let's say that much. Okay. It's not titled. I have to squint. All right. Grandiloquent mendicants, megalomaniac transients, altruistic narcissists, interest-seeking, self-leavening breadwinners, high-fidelity, ingratiating, state-of-the-artful dodgers, blurry inkblot ledger, mildewed, melancholy, narcoleptics, dyspeptic, dropsy-turvy, dovetail, backcurrent gliders, sluggish dervishes, sloughed off serpentine, whirlwind, aching backspin, voices left hoarse and riderless, godless, mystic, Bataillesque, impossibility addicts, accursed shareholders, spunky chasm spelunkers, knocked up and swelling with unknowable inevitables, rims spent and spokeless on forgotten go-kart ghost axles, axes askew, terra inferma, intemperate temperature rising, jobless, lumpen spandrel masses, washed up shoreline garbage truckers, indigent sword-swallowing bandersnatchers, intransigent Luddite sneak thief loan sharking transactors, huckster hustlers plumb out of marks and angles and bobbles, rotting beast entrail happy maggot detritus eaters, finally freed from economic usefulness constraints, superfluous and unexploitable. Yea, and the meek shall inherit the great toxic soup dumpling, and the ruling elites with no one left to lord over and nothing left to do in, shield themselves behind gilded cages designated and delineated by algorithmetric predictability, and the children of the blood of the biodome certainty podcastration chambers sneak and scurry through forgotten service corridors and tunnels out into the open, join the bands of so-called leftover people who toil and struggle and strive together in anarchic extended families, attendant to the nature of mutuality and co-creation, and survive this 6,000-year blip called civilization.
Blip! That's Shem Korngold, ladies and gentlemen. I like the jazz, the pizzazz. The cursive writer, Dudimon, and then the cursive writer. Dudimon, come on up. And then we'll take care of these fine prizes designed with your minds in mind.
Out of your mind.
He is so right.
So right.
I know. I am who I think I am.
Come! Let us go to the graveyard of time. I told you, man, not to bring me out here. I am scared. Last time, it took me a week to clean my clothes. You see, Hey! He's going to the graveyard. Dig him up! Dig him up! They said they want sand. They buried them in the sand up to their neck. And the mighty Suwafas came. The hours of soldier ants came when they left. They ate the leaves off the trees. They buried them to their necks, you see. And they thought they got away. Dig them up! Dig them up! Look! Look! Open it! Open it! Open it! Open it! Look! They don't meet on their bone. Look! Look! They wink us one eye! Come! Let's run! Ah! It's Doodle one, Doodle here, Doodle's there. Everybody do it. The fish do it. The birds do it. The plants do it. And one day I found out me and Chloe and Joey was out eating apples. And we bolted across the orchard. Chloe got to the door first and bolted. I said, Chloe, let me in. Let me in, Chloe. She ain't nothing to do it. I said, hey, Chloe, get out better my horse bar. She said, ain't nothing to do it. She bolted. I said, Chloe, nature is calling. And after I got done, I put some sand and dirt over yonder. You see. We go back to Ireland. Cork. My people came from Cork, you see. They came from Mayhem. Also, they came from Scotland. They came from the fjord. They came from all over. They said, what do an African look like? I'm slant-eyed, blue-eyed from Mongolia. I am an Africanian. The Kodiak ride is cut across. Can I just walk along the edge? You see it of time. Just walk along the edge. Just let me. Oh Lord, oh can of Lord. Up upon yonder stove, my mama. Mommy, me hungry. Mommy, me hungry, me hungry, me hungry. Hey. Mommy, my face is swollen. Look at my jaw. It's out yonder. Mommy grabbed the catalog, you see, and it lit up. It just lit up, and Mommy smeared a little there. And the next day, it was gone, you see. Because by the time we get to the White House, it then turns black. And St. Peter and his vanguards will walk along the rail. And we said, when you get to heaven, you walk around the back and you become an ice footstool. And I licked him. And I said, Tom, he's licking that boy again. And that time I should be, they said, what happened to all the darkies? They drunk out of white faucets and they became light. The guy kept looking around and said, where are they? And he was sitting beside me and said, didn't you know I took a can of lard? And a can of that lard, I made me hair straight, and I drunk out the white faucet, you see, and I became lighter. Light. Look, it had to be darker than this. One time I drunk out the white faucet. They said, have a cup of coffee. And they put milk in it. That makes you light. You know, light. Like the old saying, when you get to town, go to the good side of town. And the people walk downtown, they use umbrellas, you see, to keep you drowning. Close the gate! Close it! Close it! Let's go!
And now the Curse of Rider, the Country Club Super Duper Bulldozer, and
if the
we
mood
take care of
hits
his
you,
prize.
Buddha Mountain, please come up. If it moves you. All right. You can always hire an asshole.
You can always hire an asshole to do your bidding for you, hire a lawyer, make illegal legal. You can be like Jared Kushner, rat-faced demon landlord, pimp for profit, who can't give a genuine smile unless the thought is about power, money. If the rat smiles, it's a smile unpleasant, as it stares, showing teeth into the cold, cold, dead eyes, red reflected showing its interior, as his trophy wife, Mrs. Ratface, holds her twin husband's hand in love. The ugly minds of humanity have always ruled us. Sometimes they actually seem to listen, though seldom. At least white folks thought they were being listened to, but not the rest. Miscreant empires do what they want under guises of many isms. Today we have gods, politicians of many isms, except humanism. Welcome to another installment brought to you by USA. Now's time for another commercial cell. TV, internet, apps, social media that tells you where you can defecate. Phones that really aren't smart. Hey, George Orwell, how do you like the use of smart? Newspeak, a good one. After all, war is peace. There's nothing to see. Almost everyone wants someone to look at them. Then there are those who dress as if they want to be seen, but don't dress for you. Most want to know what you can about someone, read stories, talk about ad nauseum, their privacy, your privacy, yeah. Move along, nothing to see here. To go off grid, not caring if you're admired. Who really wants to be admired by an Usan society people unless you can whore yourselves like Kardashians, Jennifer Lopez et al. To make all that dough? Evidently many doo-doo, as if there is much doo-doo to be had. In other words, move along, there's nothing to look at or see here. There are those who love to be looked at and admired, whether locally, beyond. It's about no words. Crave that attention, acknowledgement. Be careful, the price is demanded. All that love can turn if love was ever what it was. So it must be said, move along, there's nothing to look at, see here. She walks by, gives no acknowledgement, gives easy refusals. There is nothing here she wants you to see, cares less for you to be. People fall over themselves. She looks straight ahead, works the peripheral. Dance of the empire, the dance of move along. There's nothing to look at, see here.
Move along.
USA citizens say nothing. Native people still in bondage, still die on reservations from freezing cold where substandard housings exist. Dry res, yet alcohol poisoning runs rampant. Native people, men found dead in rivers, back alleys, streets, raped, sodomized. Native black women sterilized, lied to, or never told. Away the genocide nations to better health care. Native children, young adults with suicide so high until all have been touched. Why would we know? We're busy with the Kardashians. Drugs flood into the res. How do you think that happens? Kill their food source. Make them dependent on commodity foods. Usan's diet. Usans shouldn't eat, but great for studies on heart and diabetes, all related. Maybe native nations need homeland security to keep the terrorists out of their countries. But then where would they get the money to defend themselves? You know, not all nations have gambling. Gambling is one way USA can get out of its trust responsibilities, which is what it does. We do believe our lies. We're killer Homo sapiens. From the go-go,
we've denied the other their humanity when it is us who is the others. Excuse me, I'm going to read that last part. We do believe our lies were killer Homo sapiens. From the get-go, denied the other their humanity when it is us who are the immaturists of them all.
We're here. First writer. All right. We're going to take care of the. Oh yeah. We got actually a couple of announcements. He's going to do one, then I'm going to do one.
Real quick announcement. This Friday, March 15th, I'll be reading along with some other people at Alley Cat Books, and it's an event entitled "Give Us the Word," featuring queer and trans people of color.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Brett, you got 10 to 15 minutes for the bus to come.
Speaking of poetry events,
On March 7th, on Sunday, at the Corrett Auditorium, poets are going to be reading Ferngully's poems.
okay, 100 years old.
Yeah, that's right.
And then another event that's coming up. These are micro flyers. Poems Under the Dome. It is Thursday, April 18th, 5:30 to 8 p.m. City Hall, San Francisco. You show up, put your name in the hopper. They pick names out. You get to read in front of hundreds of people. Sometimes it's like 200 or 300 people there. So take one of these. If you get a prize, if these get eliminated, they're not here, I can get information to you. And then if you know who Avacha is,
Yes.
Okay, now this is a dated flyer, but it gives the information of where she does her poetry event.
You can get over to the Fruit Trail and do it. It's worth it.
Fruitvale BART Station. It's the fourth Saturday every month. Now this is like an old one, but it has the details, so the deets, as they say. So then the prizes: selected poems by Lewis Simpson. These were bought by Karen Malone Magoon. To be or not to be, and then there's the 99%. Mr. E, this is the author of this book. This is Mr. E's mystery.
Mr. E's mystery.
Mr. E's mystery, and it has the CD in the back. Just so you.
I read every poem in there.
He reads every poem in there. This is The Ability to Love, which is probably necessary in this world. A twin book by Bob Dewhurst.